Every survival YouTuber will tell you rain kills your fire. That's a lie, sold to you by people who've never actually tried this. Rain doesn't kill fire. Ignorance of wood does. Right now, somewhere in a landfill, there's a $40 waterproof fire starting kit, batteries, a plastic case, a tiny striker rated for all weather conditions. And it will fail you the moment it matters, because it was never built on knowledge. It was built to be sold. 100 years ago, a 12-year-old boy in a wool uniform could walk into a soaked forest with nothing but a pocket knife and come out with a fire hot enough to dry his socks. No batteries, no plastic, just competence. But there's a permanent way to do this, and it was perfected long before the bushcraft was a hashtag. Go back to the early 1920s. The Boy Scouts of America handbook wasn't a coloring book. It was a survival manual written by people who had endured freezing temperatures, starvation, and the constant need to keep a fire alive. These boys were taught in real northeastern and Appalachian woods, in real rain, because a scout who couldn't light a fire in bad weather was a scout who couldn't be trusted on a real expedition. This was long before propane torches were even a twinkle in a hardware executive's eye. The method they used wasn't clever. It was observant. They'd learned to read a tree the way a sailor reads the sky. Here's the secret they knew, and most people today have completely forgotten. Rain only soaks the outside of wood. The inside stays dry far longer than you think, sometimes for days. Think of a piece of standing deadwood, like a stack of dry firewood wearing a wet raincoat. The bark and outer inch get soaked. But peel that raincoat back, and underneath is fuel that's been curing for months, bone dry, just waiting. This is the whole physics of rainy day fire, and it comes down to one word: exposure. Water needs surface area and time to soak into wood fiber. A twig lying on the wet ground has been sitting in a puddle for hours, soaked straight through. But a dead branch still attached to a tree, especially low on the trunk or tangled in the underbrush, has been sheltered from the worst of it. Scouts called this squaw wood, dead, brittle branches still hanging above the ground. It snaps clean, doesn't bend, and inside, it's dry as a bone even in a downpour. Now think about a log lying on the ground versus that. The log split open. The outside might be dark and soaked. But split it, even in the rain, and the exposed inner wood is dry, pale, and ready to catch. This is why every old-timer's trick centers on one tool, the knife. Use tea to chop, to shave. A fire in the rain isn't built, it's carved. Here's how the boys were actually taught to do it. First, find your fuel before you do anything else. Look for standing dead branches, not fallen ones. Snap test them. If it snaps with a dry crack instead of bending, it's good. Softwoods like pine, spruce, and fir are your best friends here because of resin. That resin is basically nature's lighter fluid, sticky, flammable sap that beads up on broken branches and burns even when everything around it is wet. Look for dead lower branches on pine trees, especially ones with hardened, amber-colored sap. That's called fatwood, and it will light in a downpour when nothing else will. Second, make a feather stick. This is the actual heart of the method, and it's the part almost nobody does correctly today. Take a dry branch about as thick as your thumb. Instead of trying to whittle it down to shavings, but you shave long, thin curls into the wood without cutting them off, leaving them attached at the base. So the stick looks like it's wearing a skirt of wooden feathers. You want at least a dozen of these, curls per stick, and 3 or 4 sticks total. The reason this works is simple. You've just exposed dozens of paper-thin, completely dry surfaces to the air. while the wet, protective outer bark stays on the back of the stick, where your hand is gripping it. It's dry kindling and a handle in one piece. Third, build your structure off the wet ground. This is the rule you cannot break. Lay down a platform, a flat piece of bark, a couple of dry sticks, anything to get your fire up off soaked earth. Ground moisture will wick straight up into your fire and kill it before it starts. Lean your feather sticks together in a small teepee, feathers facing in and down, with your fat wood shavings or a bit of dry tinder underneath. Fourth, protect the flame while it grows. This is where a scout's poncho or even his own body became the shelter. Crouch over the small fire, blocking the wind and direct rain with your back. Feeding it slowly, first the feather curls, then pencil-thick sticks, then thumb-thick. Only once you have a real bed of build a solid bed of coals first. Rushing this stage can smother a fragile flame beneath fuel that is too large or too wet. So if this method is free, reliable, and has worked for over a century, why does almost nobody know it? Why do we instead hand a 12-year-old a lighter and call it a day? Because knowing how to read a forest doesn't sell anything. A company can't put understanding wood moisture gradients. Modern stores may offer expensive all-weather fire-starting kits packaged for convenience, but reliable firemaking has always depended with a battery that dies, a striker that wears out, and a design that guarantees you'll be back next season. The entire outdoor gear industry is built on selling you a gadget to replace a skill. Because a gadget breaks, and a skill doesn't. No company profits when you can walk into any forest on Earth and make fire with nothing but a knife and your own attention. This isn't about hating tools. Bring your lighter, bring your ferro rod, but understand, you're not actually prepared until you don't need them. Now, some honesty. This method takes practice. Your first 10 feather sticks will probably not light on the first try, and that's normal, not failure. It also requires the right trees. If you're somewhere with no standing deadwood, no conifers, no dry overhangs, you'll need to adapt or carry backup tinder. This is not a 5-minute trick. It's a skill that gets faster and more reliable every single time you do it, the same way any craft does. Many practical survival skills nearly disappeared, not because they stopped working, but because fewer people continued to practice and pass them on, but because the industry moved on to something more profitable to sell you. Reading wood, reading weather. Reading a forest for what it's quietly offering you? That kind of radical, decentralized competence doesn't need a subscription. It just needs you to go outside and try it. If that matters to you, subscribing and sharing is the simplest way to make sure this knowledge keeps being found. If creating fire during heavy rain seems impossible, the next techniques demonstrate just how resourceful traditional outdoor survival methods can be. With nothing but a single strand of steel wool and a battery, turning the most useless piece of trash into a tool, your junk drawer into an instant flame. That video is right here.